The rhythm of the reel. Ren stared at his English textbook until the letters began to swim. Poetry is just a puzzle with missing pieces, he sighed, resting his chin on his palm. The classroom was quiet, save for the scratching of pens and the ticking of the clock. To Ren, poems were dusty artifacts from 100 years ago, not something meant for a teenager in a digital world. He didn't see the magic. He only saw the homework. Suddenly, a flicker of light caught his eye. Lyra, a girl from the Creative Arts Club, leaned over and slid a small, glowing notebook onto his desk. "It's not a puzzle, Ren. It's a lens," she whispered, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Open it to the first page. Let's start with imagery, painting pictures with words instead of brushes." As Ren opened the notebook, the gray classroom vanished. He wasn't sitting at a desk anymore. He was standing in a field of crimson flowers that smelled like summer rain. "Imagery uses the 5 senses," Lyra's voice echoed. Ren reached out to touch a petal that felt like velvet. He realized that a poet doesn't just say, "It was pretty." They make you feel the heat of the sun and hear the rustle of the grass. "Now, feel the heartbeat," Lyra said, appearing beside him. She began to clap a steady beat. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. "This is rhythm and meter. It's the pulse of the poem." As she clapped, the ground beneath their feet turned into giant, glowing piano keys. Every step they took created a sound, and soon they were running in time, their movements becoming a dance dictated by the beat of the words. Lyra stopped and pointed to the sky. "Watch what happens when words find their partners. That's rhyme." She shouted a word into the air, and it materialized as a shimmering golden orb. Then she shouted another word that sounded the same. The 2 orbs raced toward each other, snapping together with a satisfying click and exploding into a shower of stars. "Rhyme creates a bridge," she explained, linking ideas through the music of sound. "But sometimes, a thing isn't just a thing," Lyra said, gesturing to a distant swirling storm cloud. "Look closer. It's a metaphor." Ren squinted. The cloud wasn't made of water vapor. It was made of tangled, dark threads of worry. A simile would say the cloud is like a heavy heart, but a metaphor says the cloud is a heavy heart. They watched as the metaphor transformed the landscape into a map of human emotions. A nearby oak tree suddenly cleared its throat and stretched its branches like a person waking from a nap. Ren jumped back. "Personification," he whispered, remembering the term from his book. The tree didn't just have leaves. It had emerald hair, and its bark looked like the wrinkled skin of a wise grandfather. By giving human traits to the world started talking back to him. "Listen to the wind," Lyra encouraged. "Can you hear the alliteration? The soft, sighing sea breeze?" The air around them began to swirl with letters, mostly S's and B's, that hissed and hummed. The repetition of the initial sounds created a mood of peace. Ren closed his eyes, letting the sounds wash over him, understanding that the way a word sounds is just as important as what it means. The glowing notebook began to fade, pulling Ren back toward the classroom. "Wait," he cried. "I want to try." He grabbed a pen and wrote a single stanza on the final page. He wrote about a boy who found a key made of ink and a girl who showed him that the world was a verse waiting to be read. As he wrote, the ink on the page glowed with its own light, proving his voice had power. The bell rang, and the classroom returned to normal. Lyra was already at the door, waving goodbye. Ren looked down at his old textbook. It wasn't just a book of puzzles anymore. It was a collection of experiences, feelings, and music. He picked up his pen, no longer afraid of the white space on the page. He realized that poetry wasn't about the past. It was the rhythm of his own life.